Hello, everybody. Welcome to the May 1st, 2026 Lunch with the Mayor program. So glad to have you here. As you are, if you've watched this before, then you know that we will go through lots of project updates and things like that. If you have questions and you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, go ahead and just put your questions in the comments, and I'm happy to answer those. Um, Kind of open topic if you want, whatever you want to talk about. I will try my best to answer those things. If you are watching on YouTube, you can always get a hold of me, rdaniel@columbiacity.net, or you can call our office at 260-248 5111, City Utilities 260-248-5100, or certainly you can message me on Facebook under the Mayor Ryan L. Daniel page. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have lots of different project updates to have or to discuss, and then I am going to go through the draft comprehensive plan update. So I have tried to figure out a way to do that well on the live stream. So I think I found a way. So we'll see. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll pivot and do something different. But in any case, welcome to the May Lunch with the Mayor. So on that note, I'll kind of touch on it and come back to it. The comprehensive plan, it is up for review on our city website as well as on the county's website. City Plan Commission will review that on May 4th, and the city council will review it at the May 12th city council meeting. So you have a couple of different opportunities to take a look at it. If you have comments or thoughts about it, feel free to email me those thoughts or questions or comments. You can also email or call the Plan Commission or Planning Office, Planning and Building Department over at the county, because they handle the city's Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals and other things like that. So, and actually, if you want to know more about that, you can go back in time on our YouTube page and find the interview with Nathan Bilger, our planning director, and he can tell you all about the things that they do in their department. So, Blue River Trail South, the railroad crossing, it is coming soon. I know I've been saying that for a while. The contractor we've had conversations with, and I think we're getting really close. Again, with it being so stinking wet, construction in all kinds of phases right now is kind of on a little bit of soggy ground. Excuse my pun. But in any case, so it is coming. The railroad crossing is going to happen. I think we've gotten approval officially from the railroad and all that stuff. So we're still working on it. I wish it was done now, but I can't control the weather, and contractors are a little leery about working in very soggy conditions. So, former Whitley County Jail, we have put out an RFP, a request for proposal. Looking for either private investment or public-private partnership or something like that. We have gotten really good responses. Well, let me back up. We've gotten really good interest. We'll be receiving those proposals until, I think, for maybe another week or so. So we're excited about seeing what those proposals are going to be. There's a fair amount of interest, I believe, in housing in some way, shape, or form there, as well as kind of a mixed-use facility of some sort. So we're waiting to see what those proposals are going to look like, but that's an exciting thing that we can do something that's going to contribute to our downtown. It's not just hey, you're going to, bulldoze and leave a vacant spot. It's not hey, let's just, let's just put a kind of, I don't know, a sign of some sort that just says, I don't know, Spirit Halloween or something, I think was one of the jokes. So in any case, we are working through that piece. So TS says, why are people getting weed violations since it's been so wet? That's a good question. Again, unfortunately, one way or another, the law doesn't necessarily contemplate whether it's rainy or not. I will say that we've had enough time in between. I shouldn't say enough time. I know that there's been dry days in between our rain, and I know that doesn't work for everyone's schedule. The law, again, is about making sure that the grass doesn't get too high because there's lots of issues that come with that. But certainly, if someone did get a weed violation and they have good reasoning and rationale, have a conversation with the ordinance enforcement coordinator, and usually we can work those things out if there's good reasons for it. I get it, it's been wet. Hey, listen, my yard needs to be mowed. My yard's been really wet. My plan is to do it tomorrow, and it may be very clumpy, but I'm gonna have to get it done tomorrow because it's not supposed to rain tomorrow. Um, and hopefully between now and tomorrow afternoon, it will dry up enough that I can get things through there. So in any case, Tia, that's probably the best answer I have for you. Seth says, "What's the water situation? My water's still really yellow." Seth, that's interesting. We have not gotten any kind of calls or complaints about that, about discolored water for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it makes me wonder if it's a specific area or a specific issue, if you will. So what I would ask, as I always do, is if you have an issue where your water is consistently discolored or things like that and you've ran it, but it's consistently happening, please, please, please call our utility office, 260-248-5100, 5100. Let them know about it. Our water department is pretty quick to come out, pop the meter pit, take a look at the water out in the water meter pit and to see if it's clear or if it's discolored. If it's discolored, then we go back in the system and try to figure out where in that area we kind of work backwards. If it's not discolored at the meter, then it's something where we encourage you to take a look inside your house. It could be that, pipes themselves could be rusted. You could have water heater things like that. But that's kind of been our process. But I will tell you that after we did a large system flush around the whole city, there has been a lot less discolored water calls since that system flush, which we kind of knew was going to happen. We knew we'd get a lot of discolored water during the flush, but with the flush being done, we really haven't gotten it. So yeah, Seth, thank you, appreciate that. But yes, please give our utilities a call and they'll work backwards. Okay, thank you. Let's see, Eagle Park. So the design is still occurring. I will tell you, and we're talking about the amphitheater. Eagle Park Amphitheater, the design came back, or they're still working on the design, but the price tag came back at higher than I felt comfortable with. So we are going back to the drawing board as we have with multiple projects, it feels like lately. And trying to figure out if we can do a project that's not only valuable to the community, but also not so expensive that it's going to bankrupt us, and not, again, priority-wise, we need to make sure that we're spending money appropriately. And so this is, again, another project that we've kind of gone back to the drawing board and said we need to pull the reins back a little bit and figure out if we can do a project. So the next phase of Eagle Park, or the next stage of Eagle Park is the amphitheater and the space around the amphitheater. But the goal was originally put the amphitheater and then put 2 more of those family swing sets and kind of develop the rest of that front space. Art exhibits as a part of that, other things like that. Again, prices are absolutely ridiculous right now, and it's creating a little bit of challenge because we only have a finite amount of money. So yeah, thanks, Sean. But long story short is that that's the next stage, and we're going to keep working to see if we can find it. But anyways, the firm will find that maximum guaranteed price, and then we have to decide if we move forward or not. But anyways, again, the totality of the food and beverage tax money is going toward the construction of that park. So it's just a matter of how we use those dollars and what that looks like long term. So thank you for that. Dog park, utilities are completed. Fencing is to be installed soon. We were hoping that it would be installed by now. However, with, again, it being wet, and that's actually a fairly low area at times. And so when we have all the water we've had, that area has been really wet. So it's not good to put in those fences into those areas where it's really wet, because then it won't be solid. So long story short is that we are awaiting drier conditions to put that fence in, and then once the fence goes in, I really think, by the way, I'm thinking by the end of summer we should have that dog park about ready to go. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. So I have another question here. City has a lot of ordinances, but how are they enforced? I see a lot of trash and recycle bins being put out days ahead and pick up, and then remaining out for days or longer. Gene, so the city has a lot. Yes, the city does have a lot of ordinances. Some are older, some are younger, obviously, but we have an ordinance enforcement coordinator who kind of goes after the I'll say the really critical ones. And I'm not trying to downplay the trash and recycle bin situation, but going after, like, there's a house on Line Street that is in really bad shape, that has really high grass, and not only that, but the windows are bad, doors are bad. It seems like it's going to fall in, things like that. So he is working um, with the planning and building department to kind of work on that project, on that building, either to have it torn down or have it repaired or something like that. There's other areas where there's, let's say, junk vehicles that are a part of it. There's areas where, outdoor storage, things like that. So he is trying to tackle some of those bigger issues. Now, with that being said, if there's trash and recycle bins that are being kept out consistently, that are never being pulled back, we certainly can send a letter to just a reminder, hey, you need to do this. We give a lot of leeway, though, to be fair. I mean, there's days where I forget to pull the trash can back and it's out there for 2 days. So there's days that I do that, and so we give a lot of leeway when it comes to that. But if there's people consistently keeping those bins out, then that's something where you can notify us and we can send them a letter to just say, hey, you need to pull that back, those kind of things. So again, we're trying to tackle the big problems, but understand that that is an ordinance and it needs to be enforced as well. So, Jeffrey Drive, we have a water main that's we've been putting in. There was obviously we've had a lot of weather that has created issues there, and so we have most of the houses hooked up to the new main. We still have, I think, two houses we have to go across the street, under the street, to bore under the street to get those two houses. I think it's two houses connected. And then once that happens, we can disconnect the old pipe and we can hopefully, when it gets drier, pour the new sidewalk and the new approaches and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're working on there. So that's definitely an issue, but we are working toward that. We're almost done. We need drier weather, as it's going to be kind of um, the topic of the day, if you will. Is just so much rain. So did have a couple of more messages. There's a house on Madison Street, kept on the street for at least 6 weeks now. Okay, Gene, if you want to just shoot me a private message of where that's at, I'm happy to get a letter out to them. So Tia says, what about grass clippings on the road because it's getting bad and that's a safety issue? Yeah, Tia, that's a good point. If there are people that are blowing grass into the road, or things like that, that is something where we can definitely send them a message, or we can even find them if they continue to do it. So again, if it's a neighbor, I always encourage you to go talk to them first before you come to City Hall. But I understand if it's sometimes that doesn't work well, and so you can always call our city utilities. That's who kind of is the intake of ordinance violation things. So that's 260-248-5100. They can take a lot of your calls and your messages on that, and we'll get it processed through the system. So is the high weeds and grass going to kept mowed down this year at Giving Gardens? Okay, so that's a little more unique of a situation. There is some flexibility on the grass portion of Giving Gardens, because of the prairie. It's prairie grass. There's some areas like that. Now the weeds, we've been trying to work with them to take care of that, from last year to this year and all that kind of stuff. But we're working with them on that. Keep in mind, it is a little bit more naturalistic there. It is more geared toward more nature and things to that effect. But I understand, obviously, if there's weeds that are blowing seeds into the people's yards in that neighborhood, and I know you're in that area, then that is something we are addressing, but we would need to address, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of words for what I was trying to get to. So if I didn't make sense, I'm sorry, Beth. I'll try to do better next time. So Gene says, what is the app that people can use to report? At the moment, you can use our Columbia City app. It's My Columbia City on App Store and on, I think, the Google Play Store and things like that. However, I will say we have had more conversations recently about maybe closing that app down, because I don't know that it's used very often. There is a report it feature in that app. Let's see if I can find it real quick here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is gonna. So if you can see this app right, oh, right there, there it is. Okay, so you click on it. Looks like it needs to reload, so give me a second here. But it's the My Columbia City app. There is a report it feature in there. I will tell you what we're looking at doing is finding a way maybe to incorporate some of that stuff onto our city website to make it a little easier. You can also just, by the way, email the address and the issue to info@columbiacity.net. Info@columbiacity.net. That's another easy way to get it to us. So the app looks like this, and looks like this. And if down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a report it. If you click on report it, then you can decide which, if it's tall weeds and grass, if it's drainage issues, etc. And then that will create a report. There's some different things in there. So that's another option. You know, hey, if we see more people using it, then maybe we'll keep it around a little longer. We'll see. But yes, so that is the app. That is an app that does have a report it feature. Also has the contacts if you want to get, if let's say you want to contact one of our departments. It has the full list of department heads and the departments that they're a part of. And let's say, let's go to Parks. I don't know. Yeah, let's go to Parks Department. So if you click on Parks Department, there it has the information you can call, you can email, you can also view the website. Same thing, by the way, goes for our elected officials. And I think there is an update we have to do there. But generally, yeah, there is an update we have to do there. But still, there's lots of information on that app, and most of it is up to date. Okay. I spent way too much time on that, but still, that's kind of where we're at. Westgate Phase 3 reconstruction, we should be getting bids for that project. They are due by May 12th to the Board of Works, so we should be reviewing those shortly. I think we award at the end of May, and then we will set up a neighborhood meeting once the contractor is selected. So if you live in Westgate, especially that third phase, which is the western portion of Westgate, you will be getting information here. I'm going to say maybe a month and a half, probably. You'll be getting a letter from us setting up a neighborhood meeting in some way, shape, or form, introducing you to the contractor, making sure that you have an understanding of kind of how things are going to roll, and go from there. But this is the third and final phase of the Westgate reconstruction project, a project that, you know, Westgate came into the city back in the 90s. I think it was early 90s, if I remember correctly, and, you know, wasn't really given sidewalks, curbs, drainage, things like that. So we have been updating that infrastructure of what should have been done back in the 90s, and so now here we are. We're working on that to get that done. Downtown project, we're still working on the preliminary engineering report. We have a steering committee meeting, I think, scheduled for next week. That was supposed to happen, I think, last week. There was an illness, and so we've bumped that. So lots of events. So America 250, lots of events are being prepared for the America 250 thing. America 250 celebration. It's the semi-quincentennial celebration across the United States. We're going to have multiple days of events. July 2nd, there will be a Stars, Stripes, and Symphony event happening downtown. That's kind of the first Friday-ish event, but it's going to be a little different, but will be really cool to be at. So make sure you mark your calendars for July 2nd. July 3rd, as always, we will have our Independence Day celebration at Morshes Park, and we'll have our fireworks. We're going to do some unique things there, so that's a little teaser, but it should be a great evening, as it always is. Hopefully weather will hold up and we'll be good there. And then July 4th, the true Independence Day, we will have an opening of the time capsule and be planting a new time capsule over on the courthouse square as a county. So the city and county are working together with other stakeholders, other towns as well, to put together a time capsule for the county on the county property. So the city time capsule, we are working and strategizing on how to, first of all, where the time capsule is inside of the concrete block, and how we're going to get it out on July 4th. So we have some fun work that we're doing or will be doing here on that time capsule in preparation for July 4th. But America 250, there's multiple other things that are in the works. I don't want to go into detail yet, but I'm excited about that for sure. Again, any questions, go ahead and post them on social media, on the comments section. As always, though, I want to encourage you, if you have questions of me or questions about the city stuff, shoot me a text, or not text, well, you can, but shoot me a Facebook message. I will get back with you ASAP. You can call our office at 260-248-5111. I just want to maybe, in a kind way, encourage you, like, maybe don't always believe everything you see on social media. There may be other information, or that information may not be accurate that you see on there. So again, I think there was a big hoopla about county bells or something. There was a glance at it, I guess, and I think the county commissioner had to figure that out. So what's going on with the old jail? The county jail that Beth, I think I had addressed that, but I'll happy to come back to that if that's what you're talking about. And that is that we have the request for proposals out right now, and it appears to be good interest, but we'll be getting those proposals back here in, I think, the next week or so. So more to come on that. But okay, some miscellaneous things. Junk pickup is happening right now, happening this week. If you have not had your junk picked up, don't fret. They were in my area this morning, and again, this is Friday. I'm recording this. So they're still trying to get around town, and just so you're fully aware of what's going on. Of course, we went from 2 weeks to 1 week, and the reason for that was last year, the west side, they were able to get completed in, I think, 2 or 3 days. And so we thought, well, let's just combine everything, because what they ended up doing was kind of doing an early pass on the east side, but then more stuff went out. And so we said, well, that doesn't make sense. Let's just do everything all at once, because it will probably end up costing us, if not less, at least about the same amount. And then we don't have the, oh, what side am I on, and that kind of stuff. So we did everything on the same week this week. And they are still trying to get around town, just so you're aware. If you don't have your stuff picked up by Monday, go ahead and give our office a call or shoot me an email. And we kind of have a list, if you will, of individuals. We'll make sure that there's a list and that the trash company gets it. But as a reminder, if you didn't have your junk out by Monday, then we didn't have to pick it up. That's just we told, these rules have been out there, and not trying to be mean, but also, if you've had people that have been delivering stuff to your property, that is illegal. The ordinances are against that. It is illegal dumping, and the reason we say no to that is a lot of times that's outside residents that are not inside the city limits, that are not paying a trash fee, that are bringing stuff into the city and costing you and I more money when it comes to trash and junk cleanup. So that's the reason why we do that. So if you have people that are planning to drop stuff off at your property, please tell them no. That's not allowed by ordinance. It's not allowed. So anyways, okay, I've beat that horse to death a couple of times. Sign up for rave reviews. Rave reviews, yes, but rave alerts. So as always, you can go to our city website, columbiacity.net, sign up for those rave alerts, stay up to date on issues, whether it be when City Hall's closed, when the Aquatic Center is open or closed, things that are happening at the park, different events, special events. When this thing is happening, when this lunch with the mayor is happening, you can also get, obviously, emergency alerts, things like that. As a reminder, if you sign up for rave alerts, you automatically sign up for emergency alerts. You can't sign up for rave without emergency alerts on, just so you're aware. So you will automatically get emergency alerts, but there's lots of other things you can sign up for. Meeting minutes, opportunities for public input, etc., etc., etc. So question came in, how do you enforce that illegal dumping? Okay, So, Dee Dee, the way we enforce that basically is that if, again, it's the problem is we don't have police everywhere all the time. So if the police officers see somebody dumping material onto somebody else's property, then obviously we can cite them for that. If somebody calls in and says, "Hey, there's somebody next door and they're, emptying their truck into somebody else's property," things like that, then that's illegal dumping. Even if the resident does not, or even if the resident gives their blessing on that, it's still illegal dumping because they're bringing stuff from outside in that's costing you and I money. So it's hard to enforce. Full disclosure, it is hard to enforce, but the whole purpose of it is to try to stop individuals who are not paying for a service getting a service for free, if that makes sense. So you can always call City Utilities, 5100-260-248, 5100, and let them know what's happening. Or if you want to call dispatch, you can always call dispatch or emergency services for that kind of situation as well. So, okay, leaf. I'm gonna keep moving here. Leaf mulch is, I believe, still available at the back of Morses Park. It's been available for a couple of weeks now, so I can't promise there's a lot left, but there should be some still left back there. And then also limb pickup is coming up this next week. So again, this is Friday, May 1st. So starting on Monday, May 4th, that is the week of limb pickup. So Dee Dee says, okay, how about someone entering a condemned home? Dee Dee, that stumps me a little bit. Someone entering a condemned home, that would be a planning and building department issue. So if there is a home that is condemned, and there is a do not trespass kind of warning on there, assuming it's not the property owner, then that's going to have to be something that either through planning and building department, because they're the ones that issue that. Now, with that being said, I guess you could probably call city police too. It just kind of depends. So I think there's probably more to that story than what I'm seeing. So I'm not 100% sure on how to answer it, but that's probably going to be my best answer to you. Okay? Okay. I'm going to jump into the comprehensive plan overview. It is going to be a little bit long. Stick with me. As a reminder, the comprehensive plan, this is an update. So it's not a brand new plan. It takes things from the old plan that we have accomplished and takes them out. It takes things that maybe are not apropos or they're not acceptable anymore, and we take those out. We put new things in based on the current situation and based on residential feedback and the steering committee and the other stakeholder interviews and things to that effect. So that's what we're going to be talking about here in 2 seconds as far as bringing stuff out of a condemned home for junk day. So the question is if someone is bringing junk out of a condemned home and putting it on the curb, then that is theoretically staying on the property. So if that home, theoretically, is paying for trash services, whether current on their bill or there is arrears that someone else will end up paying, then yes, they can bring stuff out of the condemned home and put it in front. Now, I will say, again, it has to follow the specifications of our junk pickup. So, again, happy to chat more about that with you, Dee Dee, if you have more information or you want to just send me a message or something like that. Happy to chat more about how that works. So, okay, I am going to switch over to a different screen so we can talk through the comprehensive plan. Hopefully this works like I expect it to. Okay, here we are. Everybody, I'm still here. Here's the comprehensive plan. You will see my cursor here. We are going to check through this here a little bit. Again, this is the public hearing draft. Public hearing is at the at the Plan Commission meeting, which is coming up this Monday. Got some pretty pictures here of different things that have happened since the last comprehensive plan. Since the first one, I guess I should say. American Structure Point was is our contractor, is our engineering firm that helped with this. There's a letter from me. Some more pretty pictures. Here's the executive summary. Obviously, the goal of the comprehensive plan is to help guide investment and growth over the next 10 to 20 years, and really builds on the 2015 plan that we had. So what we tried to do is really develop through that structure of educate, explore, and empower, and then use the kind of the familiar people, places, and things framework that we had. So again, point is to manage growth purposefully and strengthen our city identity, things to that effect. So we keep moving here. Here's the Common Council and some other former council members. As you know, Leslie is now our clerk treasurer. Planning process, kind of how we went through things. And I will tell you that there was both a steering committee as well as, like I said, stakeholder interviews that were had. We had lots of public input. Here's the steering committee. As you can tell, a couple of individuals that represented different aspects, other individuals that were from different, not only entities, but also different sectors. Tried to cover multiple bases there. I'm going to keep moving here. So here's the achievements from the 2015 plan, and things like our downtown test kitchen, while sort of an achievement, we're still working on some of the final things on that. We've decided to kind of switch gears a little bit, but we're going to keep working on that. But effectively, we don't need it more in the comp plan, in this update of the comp plan. Attract regional and local restaurants and shops. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that up to this point. You see lots of new restaurants that have moved in over the last 5 years, some that have come and gone. Yes, Scott, there is a comprehensive plan online you can read. You can read it on our city website at columbiacity.net. You can also read it on the county website, which is, I think, whitleygov.com. I think that's it. Or whitleycounty.gov. Something like that. But anyways, it is, yes, you can read it on both places. I will say I think it uploads to an Adobe document. So if you have Adobe Reader or something like that, that's probably the best way. But that's why I thought I'd kind of go through it now, but you can look at it more in detail on your own accord. So encourage food trucks as dining options. That's certainly something we have done. We've found ways to incorporate those. Explore Community Aquatics Center. Well, that obviously was built after the comprehensive plan. Relocate Columbia City High School. We have done that. Well, I shouldn't say we have done that. School Corporation did that. Downtown Higher Education Satellite. We have had Ivy Tech classes happening at the Marshall Community Center. I'm not sure how much of those are still going. That's really more of an Ivy Tech restructuring thing than a need thing. But higher education pathways, create a community garden. As noted earlier, Giving Gardens does some of those functions for sure. Create a downtown strategic investment plan. We have the downtown revitalization plan, which we are working on the kind of construction part of that, so that is continuing. Maintain and update comprehensive plan website. We have done that. Expand and strengthen festivals. I think we can say strongly that over the last 5 years there have been multiple festivals, additional festivals that have grown, additional festivals that have been added, things to that effect. So there's a lot more activity in downtown. Trail extension along State Road 9. Obviously, that has happened. That's we've touched on that already. Pursue mixed-use housing opportunities, multiple mixed-use housing, and we have some potential development on North State Road 109, north of Walmart there. That we're working on as well, in conjunction with a private owner. Strong regional and state partnerships. We have lots of really great partnerships with people. Expand utilities in a measured way. We are doing that. Define the brand. We actually did a whole branding thing, which is why you see the color scheme you do, which is why you see the motto of building a future together, or tagline, excuse me, of building a future together. It's why you see our, it's on my water bottle, this lovely logo we have, things like that. That was all a part of that branding, if you will, of our city. Upgrade digital communication. We have the Rave system. Obviously, we've done a lot more on social media, etc. Speaking of that, I think we're planning to do our 5 fast facts here in the next week or two, so stay tuned for that. So now, those are a lot of the things we've accomplished, and as I've mentioned before, the comprehensive plan has sat on my desk for pretty much the entirety since we did it, and so I've been keeping track. I think I've shown you this in the past, but I have been keeping track of where we're at with all of these goals. So I say all that to say I'm going to have to replace my 15 comprehensive plan with the updated 26 comprehensive plan. But so we're going to jump into a couple of these issues. I'm not going to read all this because we'd be here for another hour. But effectively, looking at people, the different survey results we got previously. 94% of residents say they enjoy living in Columbia City, which is great. 81% say that safety is a top reason, which is fantastic. And again, there's always needs, and we understand that. So 40% want better transportation connectivity. 45% want to see more community programming. That's right up my alley for sure. So again, some of these things we've carried over. So here are some of the principles there. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them, but new rectangular and or recreational athletic fields, expand river access points. Our hope is to somehow, continue to connect connect our citizens to the Blue River that we have coming through our community. Public transit options. That has been I know a hot topic in the past, and a big part of that is obviously a funding source, right? So you have the senior transit, who actually will transport not just seniors but also kids and adults and things like that. There is a cost that come with that, and so figuring out a way to actually fund that. Bigger cities, Fort Wayne and Evansville and Gary and Hammond and South Bend and on and on and on. All of those communities get federal funds directly for transportation. That's why they're able to have bus systems and things to that effect. For a 10,000 person community, we don't get that money. And so figuring out ways in which we can have public transit options is important. And it's something that we've had consistent conversations about, but it's really hard to find an answer to it because people don't want to pay a high price. And at the same time, we don't have the funding to support that. So, support it long term to make it financially feasible, because you're talking about millions of dollars to run the system. So, long story short is that's something that still needs to be worked on in some way, shape, or form, and I'm just not sure. It's a tough nut to crack, let's say it that way. Encourage neighborhood beautification projects. We have done some of those for sure. We've actually partnered with others in the past to beautify neighborhoods, things to that effect. So that will continue to be an ongoing thing for us. Facilitate information sharing with emergency services. Absolutely, we do that a lot. So places, again, important things like 45% supported adding more single unit homes. 25% expressed the need for more multi-unit housing options. I think ultimately all of our goals, meaning city residents, city government, nonprofits, etc., is we need a more diverse housing stock. No matter what, we need a more diverse housing stock. And so, there are multiple individuals that have came to the city that have asked for, but have said, we'd really like to do this kind of product. Do you think it would work in the city? And my response typically is yes, if it's nice, or yes, if it's something that has a moderate price range or low price range or things like that. And I think we have a couple of projects that are percolating right now that you'll see hopefully in the next maybe couple of months that will help address some of the different housing needs. And again, also keep in mind, this is just a snapshot of residential input. By no means did we get everybody or anything like that, but we did get a snapshot of kind of where people are. So 45% of residents seek entertainment and dining locally. That's why we have tried to put more effort into downtown restaurants and try to put more effort into ways in which we can continue to build momentum in our downtown. I'm probably going way too deep into this, but just some different things. But again, 40% of respondents need better transportation options. So that's again something that is on our radar. This is one of those things where it helps us to know where to put our priorities going into the future. So principles here for the live section, a capacity building program in neighborhoods, coordinate with housing developers, promote a wide range of housing types, promote and encourage single family housing and medium density housing. That's a new piece. That's a new piece in this puzzle, if you will. Promote and encourage medium density housing in the blocks surrounding the downtown district. And then infill development. If you don't know what infill is, that's where there's vacant lots or things like that, or maybe homes that are just not in good shape, things like that. You can do infill development within that instead of doing urban sprawl. Do infill, which again, frankly, we have tried really hard to do more infill than to do urban sprawl. But again, space is always limited. So the micro unit thing is a really interesting idea that could be used. I think potentially frequently as housing prices are just insane. So different things here under the experience. Utilize the Arts Commission. They are working feverishly on a couple of different projects that could be really cool. Identify locations for public art installations, check. Create a citywide gateway beautification plan. We've been doing some gateway beautification, especially on the south side. There's been a couple of projects recently. We're going to continue working on that piece. Gateway signage in high traffic areas. The 2024 downtown revitalization plan, again, doing that right now. And identify publicly supported paths to adopting a historic preservation ordinance. I will say that is underway. We've had lots of conversation about historic preservation in downtown, and so we are working through that a little bit right now. So I'm going to take a drink and a breath. A new one, though, coordinate with businesses and transportation partners to establish marketing and signage, indicating alternative routes when there's businesses impacted by construction, things to that effect. Under the move, updated capital improvement plan and program for transportation infrastructure, fill in sidewalk gaps. That's been one since 2015. We have consistently tried to do that every year. We spend over $100,000 in curb and sidewalk work throughout the whole city. Obviously, for Westgate, we've been putting that money toward the curb and sidewalk work in Westgate, but on the years that we don't do that, last year I think we did 45 different sidewalk ramps around the city to make sure they're ADA compliant. We've worked on, when we do a new water line, we put a brand new sidewalk in on top of it. We've tried to fill sidewalk gaps. So I get it. There's a lot of sidewalks that are not in great shape, but we've been putting in pretty significant dollars in to try to making that better. So connecting the Blue River Trail to new areas, and obviously the southern section of the Blue River Trail down to the school was a big piece. That was a over $2 million project to do that extension. Our next extension that we've been looking at is the idea of going west toward the Westgate, toward Deer Chase, figuring out ways to connect the western side into our trail network. So that's kind of the next thing on the agenda, hopefully. Under move there, the new pieces are new developments, connect new sidewalks and bike infrastructure to existing paths and trails. Obviously, that's a big goal. That's something that needs to be a part of the development plan. Provide safe pedestrian and bike routes from the new housing developments to the school campuses. That helps with the new trail. That will help make that connection. Under grow, strategically support voluntary annexation to land that's voluntary. I want to say it again, that's voluntary. That is not the city annexing property outside the city. That is voluntary, meaning that individual property owners request to be a part of the city, not the opposite way around. Also want to maybe hit on this last one more time for the 50th time I have. This last time, a couple of years ago, when we tried to do the extraterritorial jurisdiction extension, that was obviously turned down by the county plan commission, but it was, in my humble opinion, there was a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding of what extraterritorial jurisdiction is. compare to annexation, because that is not the same thing. But nevertheless, it is something that we have to continue to look at. So I'm going to pause for a second. I did get a question here. When is Jeffrey Drive going to be done? I did address that earlier, Dorothy, but basically the issue is that it's so wet, but we have 2 more services to hook up, water services. And then once that's done and it gets dried, we will pour concrete for sidewalk and all that, and repair everything. Problem is you can't pour sidewalk when it is wet. So you're going to have to be, so unfortunately, we're all going to have to be patient because the weather has just not been very cooperative. Let's say it that way. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, expand revitalization efforts to areas of existing investment, residential, commercial, green space. US 30 redevelopment is another big one because we know that's coming down the pipe at some point. So the first thing is we want to create an overlay district. Overlay district basically is let's say an additional layer on a map that will help to plan and help with investment and help with, construction of properties and things like that along the way to say, okay, if 30 becomes a freeway, which the plans are kind of showing that, and frankly, personally, I think that would be an improvement to safety and connectivity. But nevertheless, once that happens, as that happens, how can we mitigate the issues, or how can we stop the issues of property loss, demolition of buildings, again, making sure the street has the right of way, all that kind of stuff. So that is a big part of that overlay district, will help with the planning long into the future. Define alternative traffic patterns, obviously, when that happens. Promote and encourage commercial activity of all sizes in the planned interchanges. So if they follow the plan, then those are the areas that we really want to encourage the commercial development to happen, and not just kind of piecemeal along the way. And then establish growth boundaries on the parcels along that 30 interchanges to really maximize the land use of the area. Also, new ones under grow, coordinate cleanup of brownfield sites, which we actually have been doing and will continue to do with the Redevelopment Commission. Create a gateway commercial district along State Road 9 on the south side. That's another one of those that we feel like going to the high school, there's opportunity there, not just for commercial development, but to clean it up and really to make it a nicer entryway into our community. Not going to get too much into land use. There's a lot of this stuff, but here's a kind of a brief map, if you will, of kind of where we're at. So the city limits is in the black here. The properties so this is a future land use map again, and it's not really it is sort of binding, but it's not really binding outside of our jurisdiction. So again, this kind of dotted area is sort of our planning territory, but not really, because if we went completely out the 2-mile jurisdiction, then would be kind of the border. We don't go out 2 miles, but they were just showing kind of what that area looks like, if you will. So again, planning area. It's intended to kind of guide policymakers, not just for us, by the way, but also for the County Planning Commission as well, as they see fit. I'm going to blast through a bunch of these. These are really just the areas of different kind of planning zones, if you will. So I think I'm going to blast through most of these because those don't really matter, but we'll get to the critical path strategies. Okay, things. There we go. We'll get to things. Okay, full screen. So here's what we learned. I know, appreciate the 21 people that have hung out here with us. We're going to go to upcoming events here in a moment. So just stick with me. I'm almost there. So just some information about, 81% chose safe community as the most selected positive attribute. And 43% reported that they work in Columbia City, and I think that has been a changing dynamic. When I first became mayor, we had a lot of people that lived outside the city or outside the city. Try again. Lived inside the city, worked in another county, and we've seen a little bit more movement in that. And again, 48% improved local infrastructure, 55% identified sense of community is one of the features that makes it a good place to live. So that's all good stuff. Provide a mix of locational opportunities for commercial growth, expand incentive programs as needed for downtown, develop and implement alley maintenance standards. That's a new one in the downtown business district. Coordinate program development and build capacity for the test kitchen, and then explore opportunities to promote local agricultural economy within Columbia City. Promote and expand medical research and device manufacturing. We have lots of that in the area. We also have some of that inside the city limits, so expanding upon that I think is important. Promote advanced manufacturing and make infrastructure improvements for heavy logistics demand, things to that effect. Explore paths to to further strengthen and build resiliency on energy infrastructure. Remove barriers to the generation of renewable energy for private use. We have worked on that in multiple different ways. Again, we work under the confines of ensuring that safety for our electrical linemen and others. Those are all those things. But we also have things like, for instance, even it's not renewable energy, but we have things like the rain barrel rebate program that individuals can effectively have their downspout go into a rain barrel, catch that rain, and then utilize that on their gardens or their flowers during the dry months, things to that effect. So we've even done that renewable green infrastructure stuff as well. Explore sites for relocation of fire department, police department headquarters, kind of as needed. As our community grows, that public safety will have to continue to grow with it, and so that's also a part of it. And then increase fire department capacity to meet the growth and needs, ensuring adequate fire protection services areas north and east of US 30. That is definitely something we're going to have to continue to address into the future. Review and update the inventory of existing structures, explore the restoration of South Chauncey Street to a brick surface. So it's already a brick surface. Last time we looked at it, it was like, I want to say like $1.5 million specifically, if you will, to redo that street. That's a lot of money. But it's definitely something that is on the horizon. We do have mixed opinions about Chauncey Street, by the way. We have some people that love that it's brick and that it's a little bit wobbly and curvy, if you will, up and down. And the reason for that is because it slows down traffic. There's others there that don't like driving down it, and they complain about the fact that it is curvy, it is up and down, it is a challenge sometimes to drive on. So you have mixed opinions on that street, but nevertheless, it's on there. Identify potential floodplain areas. Support and highlight this region's rich tourism capacity. With the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, we have been doing that, but continuing that. So critical path strategies are just basically, here's the big things. I'm not going to go through all these because they are kind of hitting on the things we've already discussed and then bringing them in as saying, okay, these are the really important things. So with that being said, that's kind of an overview of the comprehensive plan. Again, it's a cursory overview, meaning that it is a very, well, it was a long look, but it's a smaller look on the total package. But I would encourage you to take a look at that. Like I said, city website, county website, you can look at the whole thing. You can dissect it. You can send me your questions, comments, concerns about it. You can send it to the Planning Commission as well as they debate it and discuss it next Monday, I think. So I did have a question that came in. In planning for the amphitheater, can we utilize the existing bleachers and track area, stage area at the east end of the track? Good question, Alan. We did actually think about that a little bit at the beginning. The problem is that basically the whole bleacher section on the south end of the track are not in great shape. Those are we're going to have to take a lot of that stuff out. But nevertheless, I say all that just to say that that we did look at it. I think the other piece of that is it's right up against the neighborhood there. And so what we've been trying to do is find a good place where we can kind of put it into a bowl, which kind of keeps the sound in that near area. Of course, there's going to be sound that goes into the neighborhoods nearby. There was sound that went there from football games and soccer games and tennis matches and all things. Well, maybe not tennis matches, but and all kinds of things that happened at the high school. So we're trying to be cognizant of that. So that's why we've kind of centralized it a little bit more, and we're going to be putting up, I think, a fair amount of trees and stuff around it and trying to figure out creative ways to keep the sound inside, if that makes sense. So good idea, but some of those are issues. So I appreciate the concern for sure. So let's see, what else? What else do I need to? Oh, okay. Let's go into events. Lots of events happening. So there's a lot of them. So stick with me here, and we'll round out the program tomorrow. Let me back up. Tonight is the first Friday event. Now, I think at some point I had said we're going to have 70-degree weather. I don't think we're going to hit 70 today. However, the nice thing is, as you can see maybe behind me, is that the sun is now out. Things are drying up-ish a little bit. I mean, I don't know who had snow rain on their bingo card for May 1st, but congratulations. You should buy a lottery ticket if you had snow rain on your bingo card on May 1st. Nevertheless, we are going to have First Friday tonight. It's really great. It's always a wonderful time. I know there's lots of other things happening. I think the middle school has a dance tonight, and gosh, I feel like there's something like maybe some high school stuff happening. Oh, I think Fantacular is tonight at the high school. So I know there's lots of things happening. But First Friday, for the first Friday of the year, is happening tonight in downtown Columbia City again. May 1st is the date that we are, if you're watching this later. So Rob asked, can the public use the track for walking at Eagle Park? Yes. Yes is the answer. You can use the track for walking. Yes, you can. Tomorrow, we have the first day of the Whately County Farmers Market. That's from 8 to 12:30 p.m. First day of the Whately County Farmers Market. It is going to look a little weird because the county is preparing for Election Day, and so they will have some things happening there. So the setup is going to be a little different than normal, but then it'll go back to its regular setup next Saturday. But anyways, first day of Whately County Farmers Market is tomorrow. They're also having downtown historic walking tours around downtown Columbia City at 10 a.m. That's a great time to come learn a little history about your downtown, the downtown of your city. Tomorrow's also free comic book day at BE Comics. Tomorrow is also the Babe Pregnancy and Child Loss Remembrance Walk. That's at 11 a.m., I believe at Morses Park. Great event. If you have experienced either pregnancy or child loss, it's a great time to remember and to honor those individuals and to share in that support of others that have experienced that. So May 5th is the election day, and so City Hall is closed that day. Get out and vote. I know it's a primary, so if you are not a Republican or Democrat, then maybe you decide to stay home. But keep in mind, you can go in and ask for a ballot that is appropriate for you, Republican or Democrat, whatever. But it is election day. It is the midterm election. Yeah, it is the midterm elections. So Congress, let's see, do we have any senators on? I don't know if we have any senators on this time, but we have our congressman on there. We have our sheriff. We have county council. We have commissioner. We have our state representative. I don't know if we have state senate this time either, but this fall we will have school board races and all those positions back on the ballot in this fall, in November. So, but election day is May 5th for primary elections. So get out and vote. May 7th is National Day of Prayer. That event is one of the events is happening at 7 a.m. on the east side of the courthouse square in the morning. And then I think there's also an event at like 6:30 maybe that night. A National Day of Prayer event. May 8th is Mom's Night Out at Babe. That's from 5:30 to 7 p.m. May 9th is the Columbia City Connect Flower Crawl. You can get more information on the Columbia City Connect Facebook page or website. May 12th, Future Proof Your Phone event is being hosted by 9GB Tech from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Chamber Building. That's a great time if you don't know how to use your phone, or if you have maybe a parent or somebody who doesn't know how to use their phone well. That's a great time to go and just get that checked out and make sure that it's secure and all that kind of good stuff. May 16th, Go Topless Jeep event at Pages Crossing. That is by the Whitley County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. Again, Go Topless, meaning the Jeep is topless, not anything else being topless. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Pages Crossing. May 18th, Whitley County Veterans Flag Placement at the cemeteries. Meet at the VFW at 8 a.m. May 23rd, the Aquatic Center opening weekend. That's exciting. We're excited for that. If you have not gotten your annual pass, call the park office, get your annual pass. You may even be able to do it on the park website, but definitely through the park office. May 25th is the Memorial Day Mile Run at 10 a.m. at the corner of Van Buren and Walnut, and then I think they run down to the YMCA. Excuse me. May 25th is also the Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. The parade starts at 10:30 a.m. And will go from basically on Van Buren Street from Walnut Street all the way down Van Buren to Madison. We'll turn south on Madison and go down to the cemetery, where there will be a ceremony at the cemetery there. And it's it's a good year. If you've not gone to that, it's a good year to go to that. And obviously, Memorial Day is about more than just barbecues and opening the aquatic center and all those kind of things. It is a day to remember those that have been lost in the line of service for our country. And we thank all those individuals who have sacrificed for us, and maybe more importantly on that is we thank the families that sacrificed their own family member for our country. On Memorial Day, make sure you take some time set aside to remember the real reason for Memorial Day. And come on down to the parade and ceremony. It's a really great time. May 25th, of course, City Hall is closed for Memorial Day. May 26th, Board of Works and City Council meetings at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. I just realized I did not put in the actual dates for our other Board of Works and City Council days. So we have a Board of Works City Council meeting also on May 12th. I know that night I think I'm going to be at the Eagle Glen Association, Homeowners Association meeting, and then I have I think the following Thursday I have Deer Chase Association meeting that I'm planning to be at as well. May 28th is the Whitley County Consolidated Schools last day of school. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but here we are. Basically, we are less than a month away from the last day of school already, which is crazy. But May 28th is Veterans Treatment Court graduation at the library at 2:30 p.m. That's always a wonderful event. May 30th, Troy Center is doing their annual Band Together event at the Shrine Horse Grounds at 4:30 p.m. I believe you need tickets for that, I think, or at the very least, get on Troy Center's Facebook page and website, and you can find out more information about that. June 5th is a First Friday event with motorcycles and markets. June 12th, mark your calendars. It is the next Lunch with the Mayor. And ironically, maybe not ironically, but we are hopeful to have a special guest from somebody I just talked about. So stay tuned. June 12th, next Lunch with the Mayor. June 16th through the 20th is our Old Settlers Day festival. Old Settlers Day Festival, June 16th through the 20th in downtown Columbia City. June 19th, City Hall is closed for Juneteenth in honor of Juneteenth. June 20th, American Legion Old Settlers Day Festival Parade is happening at 6 p.m. That's our annual parade. I've already mentioned July 2nd is the Star Stripes and Symphony event in downtown Columbia City. July 3rd is the Independence Day celebration at Mortius Park, a 6 p.m. start. July 4th, Independence Day time capsule opening. It's around noon. More information coming on that. And then July 17th through the 23rd is the Whitley County 4-H Fair. That's all I have for right now. I'm sure there's lots more that I did not hit. But I just want to, there's lots of events happening this summer. As always, I want to encourage you, especially when the kids get out of school, but even now when it's decent out and nice out, please be aware as you're driving around our neighborhoods. Please follow the speed limit. Stop at stop signs, all those kind of things. There are lots of kids that are out and about. Yesterday, when it was fairly chilly, there were 10 or 15 kids at the skate park. We have kids that are crossing streets and going places and all that kind of stuff. And it is our responsibility as adults to keep in mind the kids that may not always think. They may not always think before they pass or before they cross the street or things like that. So yes, it's our job to teach our kids, but it's also our job as adults to watch out for our neighborhood kids, for our community's future, right? So I want to encourage you to do that. Encourage you to enjoy this spring now that the rain, snow is gone and the sun is trying to stay out. Please enjoy this spring. It's a great time of year. We start getting together in community, and I'm really thankful that you all decided to join me today. I appreciate that some of you stuck around for the whole comprehensive plan conversation. Maybe you're just trying to get some sleep, and this is the best way. This is the best sedative. I'm not sure. But in any case, I really appreciate you tuning in today. Again, keep in mind our next Lunch with the Mayor is June 12th, 2026. Thank you, everybody. And as always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to contact me here at City Hall, 260-248-5111, rdaniel@columbiacity.net, my Facebook page, Mayor Ryan L. Daniel, or you certainly can email City Hall at info@columbiacity.net. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful May, and we'll see you again on June 12th. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.